Hi, and welcome to MentorCore. If you're new here, we're a community focused on helping people in the security, risk, and compliance fields grow their careers and leadership skills through mentoring. You can find more information about MentorCore at mentorcore.biz. I'm Dan Ayala, along with Lisa Beth Lentini Walker. Now, on to this week's discussion. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another MentorCore. Lisa Beth is on assignment this week, so she won't be joining us. But what it means is I get more time to talk to our guest today. Hussein Syed is the Chief Information Security Officer at RWJ Barnabas Health and is here today to spend some time with us. Welcome, Hussein. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Daniel.
Great.
Good afternoon.
Before I know you spend time with Lisa Beth in one of the in the Wednesday evening fireside chat security discussions that happen in Clubhouse. So I'd love to get to know a little bit more about you, as would the people that are listening. Tell us a little bit about your backstory. How'd you get where you are? Where'd you come from? How'd you grow your career to where you are to be a Chief Information Security Officer?
Wow, loaded question. Thank you. So my background is I would say pretty bland in terms of how other folks have morphed through life in different situations. I studied computer science in college back in the 80s, dating myself today, and then started working within the world of IT, as an IT admin, network engineer, consulting engineer for consulting companies, and then went over to for a number of years into a .com back in the late 90s and 2000s. There was another boom, just like the one we just had, and it was called the boom.com era, and worked for about 5 years in a startup, and it unfortunately didn't go anywhere. So I stepped back and was able to take a job as a security architect with RWJ Barnabas Health. Back then, we were a 7-hospital health system. Now we've grown to be about 13 hospitals. And since that was back in 2003 or 2002, I forget now, but it's been that long. And been here since then, building the security program and doing just information security. And it's, as we've always talked about, it's always a learning experience when you're in a field of IT or medicine or pharmacy. There's new things, being innovated on a regular basis, and the individuals have to themselves learn, grow, and be passionate about what they do, have that work-life balance, and be able to do other things as well as build their career and not get burnt out and just continue to grow. That's really my backstory. If I go back to childhood, I'm originally from Pakistan and spent a number of years in Africa with my parents before coming to US and studying computer science at college.
Nice. Yeah, we have similar paths in our careers. There are a fair number of us, but not as many as I would have expected, that all came up through security and infrastructure. 25, 30 years into the field. But that all that time in, what has changed about how people need to look and think about security from then to now, that will allow listeners or people coming into the field to be most successful at getting better security into their organizations or into their everyday lives?
So, excellent question. So, the field of information security has transformed itself in the last, I would say, about 5 to 8 years. Mm-hmm. It has left where, firewalls and antivirus software to business process reengineering, understanding how business wants to succeed and where are the security risks and gaps and how do they need to be filled. So it has gone from a security engineer to a business leader type of a role. So the role of a CISO really, or even a senior risk management professional, is more about aligning business priorities and how do they get converted into risks, and then what risks and how to mitigate them, right? We have business continuity, business interruption, cyber, identity and access management, All these areas really are business-centric disciplines, and security or IT just supports it. So I would say that CISOs have had a very rapid growth pattern here.
Yeah.
They've had to learn business, whatever respective business they're in, they have to learn that. They have to be able to communicate with the business leaders and be a good listener. The key is to be able to listen and listen and listen and understand, because that's a learning opportunity for CISOs to understand what is business looking to accomplish. And if business isn't able to accomplish what they're looking to do, then there really isn't any need for the support staff, right, to be there to help them grow. So understand that needs of the business, transform them into the risks and security controls, and bring them back to your team and help them understand why it needs to happen in a way that it strikes that balance. At the same time, be able to work with the IT folks and internal auditors and external auditors and you name it, and be able to present that, the facts apart from fiction, and so that the organization can understand why there are empirical risks and how do they need to be addressed. And that is also a growth potential for the organization, because some cyber risks can really create a reversal of the business opportunities.
Should people in technology roles still consider the CISO role a viable career growth path, or has it become completely business driven? I mean, there's no absolutes in the world, but is a technology path one that still leads to the CISO chair?
I think so. I think for a few more years, the CISO role will be driven out of the technology, but as it starts to grow, you will see that the CISO roles will start to go and come from marketing side and other areas, just like the CIO role. Most progressive organizations do not want the CIO to be a IT person. They want him
Right.
to or her to be a business driver, to business enabler, right? And that's where the CDO roles came in, to be a chief digital officer, to transform the business from what it is and take it there. I think the CISO is really going to be there. And we've already seen that. Many CISOs are now coming out of different disciplines. Attorneys are becoming CISOs more. Some other business leaders have decided that they want to take this because they feel that they can help the business grow quite rapidly, because they are able to strike that balance between where the business needs are and where the IT security needs are. But again, that is an opportunity for everybody to get into cyber or information security and be able to help the business. And the field is growing. There are about only 30% organizations have CISOs today. And in the next 5 or 10 years, hopefully there'll be 70, 80%. There'll be board opportunities. Things are just growing. And this is such a rapidly growing profession where the sky is the limit. There are startups bringing technology people into CEO roles, and they are, helping grow the vision of what security should look like.
Yeah, without question. And it's this is the I would love to say that 30 or 30 years ago when I started down this path, I knew that this was going to be the end game. But no, the fact that security has become what it is a wonderful benefit. But it's also not too late, right? People who want to get into the career can still get in and find meaningful careers. You don't have to have been a 30-year veteran. What is it? I guess, what are the pros and cons of coming in with a lot of experience right now versus coming in with a completely fresh view?
I don't know if there's any pros and cons to either. I think I would say it depends on the individual and their learning aptitude. Where do they see their career trajectory to go? Do they want to be a technical centric CISO, or do they want to be a business centric CISO? And many organizations are looking for either a mix of both, or they solely want the CISO to be a business focused CISO. The chief trust officer role that we're seeing now more up is similar to that, right? It's
Right.
more around business enablement. I think from my vantage point, I would say anyone who really has a passion for security and understanding risks and how to mitigate those, and have the discipline to develop strategy around uh, information security, and along with the business strategy, is the place to be. Uh, and I wouldn't really discount anything. Anybody who's wants to be in security, regardless of what background they have, are welcome. There is a huge shortage of security people. There's a huge shortage of cybersecurity people. There's a huge shortage of security leadership. So anyone who is charismatic, not that I am, but anybody who is, has a home here. This is a profession that's going to continue to grow for a number of years. And there's also a opportunity to grow out of a CISO role into many other roles that the individual would envision themselves to be in. Depending on the line of business they're in, it could even be chief operating officers, or even hopefully someday, those will become CEOs of organizations, because they get to understand every area of the business they're in, right? How does the business operate? It's not a one-dimensional direction that a business goes into, right? The strategy gets developed, the new products come in, the new processes get developed. How does the business operate from end to end, the ecosystem of whatever business we're in, whether it's healthcare, manufacturing, finance, you name it, it all has its own idiosyncrasies that develop that business. And all business leaders understand the business from end to end, the good ones at least, right? And the CISOs are right there. So there's an entry point for CISOs to come in, learn as much as they can, balance their life with whatever else they need to do, and grow. There's educational opportunities, learn, and then see where they want to be. So this will actually be a stepping stone for many people, especially younger entrants into this field who are in their early 30s, gone to law school, MBAs, and have the passion for leadership, get in, learn, grow with the business, and then see where they can go.
10 years ago, did you ever think that the CISO wouldn't be a terminal role?
No. No, that's those numbers are luckily changing now that the 18-month marker is changing to longer tenured CISOs as well. So that's an encouraging thing. For myself, I've been with this establishment for about 20 years.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Here, right? So some of those rules haven't applied to me, luckily. I love being where I am and what I do. So, but you're right. I mean, it has been a very uphill battle for many areas and organizations where the CISOs have come in and realized that there's lots and lots of challenges. And then if a CISO does not gel with the rest of the organization, unfortunately, sometimes the best thing to do is to move on.
Yeah, exactly. And my tenure's between 5 and 7 years in the role, which is, well exceeds the 18 to 24 month. And honestly, I have to be honest, most people I know that are in these in chief information security officer roles have been in their jobs well beyond 24 months. So I do question that metric a bit, because that means there's a whole bunch of people who have been in their job for 3 weeks and quit in order to offset the 20-year and the 10-year and the 7-year veterans in order to get to those numbers.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going into a multi-billion-dollar business, it could potentially take you, just to be introduced to the right leaders, take you months, and then learn the business and start to help to develop what you're being hired to do. Could go into a 24-month period, unless you've been brought in just to set the stage and exit. So that's a different situation.
True. Are you familiar with it's Rafiq Rehman is his name. He does CISO Mind Map. And you brought up a point earlier that I want to raise and get your feedback on. You mentioned it. I want to reinforce it for people that are listening. The idea that you don't have to be in tech in order to be an information security practitioner, professional. This is a mind map that Rafiq puts together every year. It is infinitely large about the roles and responsibilities that fall within the chief information security officer organization. And huge numbers of them have nothing to do with development, with coding, with infrastructure, with firewalls, with networks, etc. It's about this growth beyond. And so I want to take that point and just make it clear to people, if you want to get into the field, you don't need to be a CS major. You don't need to be a developer. You don't need to be a network engineer in order to come into the field. So I put the link in the show notes. Take a look at it. And if there's topics in there from project management to finance and accounting that are all part of the security function as well. So are you familiar with
Yes.
this
Yeah,
mind map,
I've seen
Hussein?
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen the mind map and I've looked at it and briefly studied, and he's absolutely correct. You know, the task of coding and programming and configuration management is part of information security, but it's not a CISO's function. CISO's function is to organize, develop, plan a strategy, help the business understand why things need to be done. A very simple example would be, environment hygiene. How do we make sure that there are processes in place from procurement to disbanding an environment? Why do you need to do the risk assessment to ensure controls are built into the processes? How to projectize implementations of major security initiatives? How to work with the business? How to report on the progress of that business? What tangible metrics people are going to look for? How to sort of create that balanced scorecard where there's multiple areas of a business that need to be taken into account and be reported on, and actually demonstrate the proficiency of what the security organization is doing. That is really the sole job of a CISO, is to be that conduit between IT, business, audit, and the senior management or the board of directors or the audit committee, wherever the ultimately reporting goes to. The fluidity of information security, as you can see from the mind map itself, is I'm sure in the next couple of years a couple more tentacles be added, and there'll be more areas to be able to. But if you see that there's left side and there's right side, there's technology and there's business, and how does they intersect? And how do you bring everything together and be that voice of reason to ensure that no one's getting paranoid about, not the business, not the IT people.
Yeah. Yeah, without question. Balance is the key. Balance is such a key piece of the role in the word.
Yeah.
And on the balance topic, you are in the role, you have a team. Balance in life and balance in keeping your mind in a good place is equally important to the success in all of the guardian fields that MentorCore covers, and from security, privacy, compliance, ethics, risk, governance. And so I guess I'm curious how you approach well-being in what is often a very taxing topic area, and how you encourage your teams to maintain good well-being.
Excellent question, Daniel. And I will be first one to admit that it took me a while to realize that work-life balance is an important aspect of being a human being and a successful person. In the last 5 to 6 years, I've been ensuring that there is some kind of an exercise routine that I follow. I encourage my teammates to take time off, spend time with the family, and I discourage, after work events with the teammates, because if I'm going out with them and going and taking them out, then essentially I'm engaging them in more work, because if we're sitting together, we'll end up talking about work, right?
You
So
still
they
have to be on.
yes, but at a personal level, it's important to engage with the family, relatives, friends, children, significant others, to make sure to talk to them, to get their perspective on life. And that could be a learning experience as well, because as our children are going, they are seeing a lot of different things. And it gives you that balance of, where the mindset changes when you shut down, you relax. Even watching a sitcom can help you, unwind a little bit, take a walk, hiking, swimming, whatever it takes to get away from business. And it is a challenging thing, because we, as especially folks in the information security, just seem to think that if we're not there, things are not happening. And that's something that we need to break, is to say we're trusting our teammates That's why we have helped them grow, mentored them, helped them, provided the right training, the right balance, the right management exposure so that they can make the decisions in our absence. It is also a good part of succession planning that if I go on vacation and I'm not called, that means things are working right. That doesn't mean things are not working. That really means that my team is capable of managing what they need to do and not have to call me for every minor decision that needs to be made, right? So that in itself strikes that balance. But on a personal level, I think there was a report that was published a couple of years ago where there were some very strange findings they had that CISOs that resorted to anger management, drinking. There were some instances of suicidal behavior because of the stress level that comes about. And so I think CISOs need to, and a peer group and the peer counseling is important as well, where you are aligned with the rest of your CISO friends and hear from them, how do they relieve stress? But at the same time, be able to communicate to your leadership internally to say, this is what's stressing me out. We need to really do something about it. And if they make a decision, whichever direction that needs to go, then as a team player, we need to kind of accept that and not stew on it and move on to the next better initiative that we need to focus on. That is the key. And sometime figure out what clicks and what time do you need to shut down every day and spend at least 2 to 3 hours either meditating or doing something that will give you mental rest.
No, I couldn't agree more with everything you said. Was really good stuff. I saw something unfortunate this morning on LinkedIn. It was a post about somebody clearly in the US who made the comment about the recommendation to employees not to take long vacations because you come back from 2 or 3 weeks and the company realizes that they don't need you. I was violently against that when I saw it because all it does is encourage the work and busy culture, the stay engaged culture versus the keeping your mind, taking time and refreshing your mind culture. And it was it actually hurt. It was in the people in the information security field. So I appreciate your answers there because they were all the opposite of that, taking time and finding balance.
I think the poster was quite insecure about his position
Yeah,
his place of employment.
Exactly. But then there were unfortunately also people that commented back in support of that approach. But luckily the other was and then think about how much they'll miss you, how much when you get back they'll realize how much they missed you while you were away. I don't know that that's equal. I think that's differently challenging, but I think the ideas of trust, the ideas of trusting in team, the ideas of being able to take time and put your brain out of it so you can recharge are really important. And after we're done recording this, I'm going for a swim for just that reason.
Wow, good for you. That's an
Good.
important piece. Yeah.
Well, Hussein, we're unfortunately already at the end of our time together. So I want to ask you our final question, which we ask all of our guests, is about the best advice you've received from a mentor in the course of your career or in the course of your life. Doesn't even have to be in your career.
So early on, when I used to work as a computer operator, we had an executive who would come in for his reports and stuff, and there will be mistakes made on the reporting. Maybe the arithmetic didn't work or something, and people would panic. And he would say, you will never get fired for making a mistake, but you would get fired for hiding a mistake. So be transparent to your superiors when you make a mistake. Fix it early, come clean, and that will build confidence in you from your management. So that was one thing that I've kind of made sure I follow is if I make a mistake, I need to come clean and report it and figure out how to fix it as opposed to hide it. The second advice I've known is where I had a boss who said, when I left my last job for a sabbatical for 6 months, nothing changed. My second in command stepped in and I was able to run the business until I came back because I made sure that I enshrine all the values in my team and help them grow along with me so that we become one group of people, a team, delivering the value we need to our organization.
That's
Those are
great
two
stuff.
things. Yeah.
That's wonderful stuff. Thank you so much, Hussein. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing these great insights. I don't tell Lisa Beth, but I kind of like it when she's not here because then I get to have a great conversation one-to-one. But she will be back for our next episode. Thank you so much for being here. And tell us a little bit about the Clubhouse Fireside Chat that you're part of. And we can put links to it in the show notes.
Certainly. So we started this Clubhouse Fireside Chat about a year ago. The main person behind it, as you know, is Tomas Maldonado, and then a number of us came in. And what our goal there is to invite senior people in every discipline there is and talk about their life journey. And we ask questions about 30 minutes of them from ourselves. There's a group of moderators, and then we open it up for the young people or people who are looking to break into those respective disciplines to come up and ask their questions. And the sole purpose of it, the fireside chat, is to help impart the lessons learned on our part, on others or peers' part, to the folks who are looking to grow in that discipline. We have had CEOs, we have had CISOs, CFOs, COOs of banks on, and we should have you on one evening and have you, talk about your life story. And it's just the way, Tomas and Lisa Beth say that it's a small way of giving back to the society that we are trying to help folks understand, that it's not that scary to drive to where you want to be.
Excellent. Well, I would love to, and I look forward to it. So thank you so much for being here. If you're interested in the Wednesday night 7 p.m. Eastern fireside chats.
I'm sorry, 8 p.m.
Sorry, 8 p.m. Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Fireside chats. Check in the show notes or check in the description below to find out more information. Thanks so much, Hussein. We appreciate you being here. Hussein Syed is the Chief Information Security Officer at RWJ Barnabas Health, and our wonderful guest. And we thank you for being part of the community. And we thank you, the listener, for being part of our community as well. If you're interested, we do have a Slack community that we're building out for people to come talk with each other, talk with guests of the show, find jobs. We do have a job posting listing and career advice channels where you can ask questions and connect with colleagues in the security, privacy, ethics, compliance, risk, and governance fields. There'll be a link in the show notes. There's also a link on our website, mentorcore.biz. We also love your feedback. You can find us, email us at info@mentorcore.biz with feedback on the show, ideas for future guests, or any kind of feedback that you'd like to give. And all of our podcasts are available on your favorite podcast application and on our YouTube channel. Thanks again for being here, and we'll see you again on the next Mentor Core.